Okay, so I got really tired of banging my head against the wall with Rust. I'll pick it up another time. Besides, if you come into this video series expecting a tutorial, this is the exact wrong place for it. This channel is about me exploring the very beginnings of learning a new language, a new system, and so this is all about me banging my head against things I am just starting to learn. So this is not a tutorial on Godot. But I watched a few videos, got kind of fascinated with Godot, especially since I have been thinking about writing toy games for a long time now. And for a long time I was going to use regular JavaScript, Canvas, a neat little library called Pixie.js. And I actually used Pixie.js a long time ago to create a game. Let's see here. Called Cathender. And this was done using a much older version of Pixie.js many years ago. Holy crap, 2014, 5 years ago. And so anyways, so that's Cathender. Excuse the volume on it. And I did it in a JavaScript canvas using JavaScript period to play the game. And I'll put a link to it in the description of this video if you want to play it. But anyway, since then I got involved in many other things, including, stable employment. My consultancy business took off. Believe it or not, despite the fact that I'm flailing in this video series, and I will continue to flail, in my core competencies, I'm actually a very decent coder. But I've got about 15 days before my next job starts. And, well, it's not enough to make a game of any kind of complexity. It is time to make something of a game. So I downloaded Godot on the recommendation of many videos that I watched. So So anyways, they have a bunch of demos and templates and stuff like that for various and sundry games. This is a demo of a very simple platformer. And so basically this is it. And this has something of a physics engine. Obviously, it has collision detection. Anyways. So, you know, this is good enough to create a very, very simple kind of game. And like I said, this is not a tutorial, so I will not pretend to be able to tell you how to do any of this stuff, because I don't know. I did 5 minutes worth of exploration before I started this video, so going through this video with 5 minutes of knowledge of Godot, plus a couple of tutorial videos, which I've forgotten 90% of. But it's got a tile map, which I assume is it involves like obstacle, long obstacle, circle. No circle on this tile map. And it looks like that this is the only tile on the tile map. The player. Let's see here. Open an editor. It's got a sprite. Which evidently is player.png. Didn't mean to make the rest of it go away, I guess. Oh, there we go. Okay, it opens up a new tab. So like I said, I'm discovering it in this video while I'm recording the video. If you want a tutorial on how to start with Godot, there are many on YouTube. And I would just simply say, type Godot tutorial in YouTube search, and I'm certain you'll find plenty of tutorials on that. And in fact, offline, off this video, that's exactly what I'm going to do if I decide to use this to code my toy game. Zoom reset. Okay. So you can zoom in, which is good. I rather like that. Okay. So, now my method of learning is probably the dumbest way of learning anybody can possibly do. A smart person would watch tutorials, kind of follow along, create their own projects based on the tutorial, and kind of, variations on the themes that you get from the tutorial. And again, I might do that later. But right now, all I want to do is to get to a clean editor and see how that looks. So I'm going to see, I guess, close the scene. Okay. And create root node, 2D scene, 3D scene, user interface. Interesting. Custom node. Well, I guess we want to do a 2D scene. Okay, gives me an empty screen. Node 2D. I'd rather call it world. And then I guess you want somebody to run around in it. So add child node. Let's see. No. Wow. This is a lot. Animation player, animation tree player, audio stream player, canvas layer, blah, 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 timer. None of this looks like a player. Animated sprite. Maybe? Audio stream player. 2D, that is CPU particles, 2D, camera 2D, collision polygon 2D, collision shape. Nothing remotely looks like something I'd want. Control pop-up, graph edit, tree, video player. Collision object 2D. Physics body 2D. Kinematic body 2D, rigid body 2D, static body 2D. Well, I'm going to choose this because it's got the little running player dude. Create. Well, let's call this player. Node configuration warning. This node has no shape, so it can't collide or interact with other objects. Considering adding a collision shape 2D or collision polygon 2D. Well, first one would think that I would need a sprite. Node 2D. Okay. So I got a sprite. And node 2D, collision object 2D. Why isn't a collision kinematic thing automatically have a collision shape? Shouldn't the kinematic body automatically come with a collision shape 2D, even if it's, you know, the size of the sprite by default? What now? Shape must be provided. Okay, first we're going to do a sprite. Texture, new animated texture, new atlas texture, new curve texture, gradient, new image texture, new image texture. Why is all this stuff still in res? I did something wrong. Don't save. Maybe I closed out of the scene, but basic top-down shooter, basic platformer. Without coding 2D platformer creator tool. Maze generator, 2D grid-based movement. Drag and drop, simple main menu, visual. See, if I was going to recreate Cathender in this, I would do the basic top-down shooter, I think. Or maybe not. Maybe do it as a basic platformer. Templates. Top-down twin stick shooter. Controller use template. Speed feeling. Godot 2D. 2D grid-based movement. Multiplayer 2D platformer. Huh. God, do I not know. And it seems to come up with a different list. Multiplayer. Interesting. I'm gonna do a new game project. I'm gonna call it Test. I know the developers call this godot. But I'm waiting for them to change their mind. So hopefully they'll eventually change their mind. But, until then, I'm waiting for Godot. Ha! Ha ha! That's actually funny. I want to let you know that. OpenGLES 3. Compatible with older hardware. GL. Screw it. It's not going to be a web game. It's just going to be a test thing. Okay. Now, for one thing, it's going to be a 2D scene. Play scene. Play custom scene. Play the project. Well, okay, whatever. Anyways, let's try this again. World, and then we add what is it? Physics body, kinematic body, that was it. Create. And then add I mean, one would think it would be an animated sprite. But that's if you have a sprite sheet. So, the heck with it. Create. And add. Then there's what? Collision. Shape 2D. So we need a sprite. Okay, so res just means whatever's default env dot whatever tres means, and there's the icon, and I guess it ignores the import and the project.godot and the .import folder. All okay. So I guess what we need at this point then is some sort of player. So image, canvas size, I'll give it a size of 32 pixels. And why 32 pixels? I have no idea. And so we have this, and the first thing I like to do is delete the white background to leave us a nice alpha channel. Oh. Shapes. Lips. Fill. It was supposed to fill with solid color. It didn't, so we'll use a paint bucket. And let's see. Lips. Oh, we want okay. Triangle. And this time. Actually. Oh, that's fine. Give it a. Center it up. Still like how it's not filling with a solid color, but well. And then we will use a paint bucket to fill it. And then we will take the magic wand and delete it. Get rid of the little... Now, the reason why I did this, instead of just deleting a triangle in the first place, is it gives us a nice little kind of definition of the mouth here. And to those of you too young to recognize this character, no, I feel sorry for you. But the problem is that it's now no longer quite filling the 32 by 32 thing. So I'm just going to do this. And then I'm going to do an eyedropper, and then a pencil. There. Yeah, don't like that. Yeah. Doesn't have to be perfect, just has to be Pac-Man. So file, save as, and we shall go see hello. Documents. Thought I said in the root of C. Documents. Not that ultimately it matters, but let's call it player.png. Yeah. Okay. There's a player. Well, that worked out spiffily. Wonder why I cut it off. And new rectangle shape. I have no idea what I'm doing here. Can you tell? Okay. Sure. Okay. I'll catch a corner of them. Let's instead afraid of that. Is there a way to lock it so that if I move this, I move everything? God, that would be a pain if you have to move everything individually. I mean, seriously. Sync to physics. I don't know what that is. Collision. I'm looking for a way of locking it so that all the children move with this. Why would that? Why would they not have something like that? Lock the selected object in place. Can't be moved. Now that's interesting. I select the sprite. The collision shape 2D is still... I guess it's a Z ordering. I can't believe that you can't just... Scale... Okay, that's kind of neat. Of course, I can't unclick it now. Oh, isn't that wonderful? Okay, it's a toggle. That's weird. But okay. So... if I do that, and select the sprite, do that. God, that's clunky as hell. Why can't you lock it so that all the children are locked together? There's gotta be a way. But first... Okay, at least now it's fully on the screen. We... I'm looking currently... Oh, here. And I'm not finding anything interesting. I probably worded that badly. Godot locking children to parent node. Well, that's good for coding. See, I want the exact opposite of this. I want to make the child position very dependent on the parent. I'm beginning to think that there's no way to lock it. Okay, I was close. Lock. Lock. So as far as I know, oh. Oh, if this is the intended behavior, that's such a pain. You shouldn't have to select both in order to move both. You should just have to select this. Okay, whatever. Let's so we're going to need a wall. And if you notice a lot of pauses in this video, it's strictly because I'm thinking through what I'm doing as I'm doing it. I don't have a pre-planned script for this series. I am sitting here scratching my head, scratching my butt, trying to figure out what the next step is. I think the next step needs to be a wall. Now, if we look at this, you see that the walls are not just straight lines. They are, in fact, big bulbous things. But if you look here, there's thin on the vertical axis, fat on the horizontal axis. I'm pretty sure that that's just an artifact of the aspect ratio. And oh, that looks much better. So okay. a bug that the munching sounds happens when he's not munching. Okay, enough of that. The great thing about games coding is that playing games is research. So what we're talking about here is what I'm going to do is copy image, then paste, edit, paste this new image, which is fine, and then we'll scale it up and find out. So we know that these are quarters, so there's a quarter here and a quarter here, quarter here, and obviously the straight lines are quarter here. So let's find out the scale we're dealing with here. Yeah, zoom all the way in. And then we go to the middle and 6 by 5. So more than likely what we want is 6 by 6. Looks like. Now, since we know, wow, that's a very distended circle. But anyways, we know that the Pac-Man, 2 Pac-Mans per one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yes, 12. So half of that is 6. So we are dealing with here in this screen capture each quarter being 6 by 6, including the lines. But if we notice, the lines are offset, so we'd actually have to create 2 different lines. Now we just need to make a tile set out of that. So we copy that, edit, paste in a new image, and it's tiny. Since our Pac-Man has 32 pixels, half of it is 16. We're gonna delete this here. Let's save 16. This is the width of the Pac-Man. So these together, these 12 will need to be 32. So 32 divided by 12. 2.666666667. So this needs to be scaled by, well, this amount. Image, resize by percentage. Whoops. By percentage. 266. Okay. Rescaling, I didn't leave hardly any artifacts, which is good. So we take this. Now we know that this should be centered on this at 32. So and that's not centered at all. Well, that's interesting. So So okay, this is 32 by 32. In other words, the size of our Pac-Man. So why aren't those dots? My scaling might not have gone to plan, and it didn't. Well, shoot. I don't quite know what happened with the scaling. Unless this was just naturally not to scale. But I find that hard to believe. Well, what's the size of the Pac-Man? If the scaling went according to plan, this should be 32 by 32. And it's 38 by 39. Which explains an awful lot. So let's try this again here. You say, why is this important? And certainly you're not making another Pac-Man clone, you just played one on your web browser. By 14. Probably this, but the pixels are just too... So 14 by 14. It's a little bit different than 32. So 32 divided by 14. Of course, it just absolutely cannot just be a round frickin' number. Still didn't scale perfectly. (32 divided by 14 equals) image resize by percentage. I'll just move the decimal point over. Oh, we did not like that at all. Oh, really? Can't do fractional percentages? Really? (32 by 33). There is absolutely no way to make this work. The 32 works just fine. The 33 doesn't. I need that fractional percentage. Yeah. Anyways, The reason for me getting so deep into this Pac-Man thing it is not because I want to create a Pac-Man game with Godot. I don't. But it is something that I know. It's something I know the rules of. It's something that I can create a model of, that I know how it behaves. So I don't have to do any guesswork. I don't have to do any game design. The game design's already done for me. All I have to do is reproduce. And that leaves me free to learn the system. But our hour is up. And I will have to pick this up another time. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.